Welcome to Duqm Now, the podcast that brings you insights and updates on the latest developments from the Special Economic Zone at Duqm. I am Mohamed Al Mughairi, and in this episode, we will be exploring industry education collaboration. Joining us today are three distinguished guests. Professor Salim Al Harthi, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Services at Sultan Qaboos University. His Highness Dr. Adham Al Said, co-founder of the firm for business and economic consulting, and Engineer Essam Al Sheibany, Vice President Sustainability at ASYAD Group. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Established by the government, Development Bank has been a steadfast partner to Oman's business community since 1976. We offer a suite of tailored financial products and services designed to support the development of a fairer, more sustainable economy, empowering Omani businesses at every stage. For startups seeking seed capital or established enterprises looking for growth financing, Development Bank is here to support every ambition.
Thanks, Dr. Mohammed. The big picture is about looking to the both sides of the coin, the academia and the industry. What are the requirements? What are it's a supply and demand? What should the academic institution giving to the industry? And what will be the return? And what will be the requirement and the expectations from the industry? Looking into what is given by academic higher institutions, such as talents, solutions, and innovation and practical ways of tackling the existing challenges in the industry. And the industry would like to see it as an investment for competing, enhancement of the quality of their product, and being there in the market. So it's a win-win situation in this case.
Your Highness, probably we can dig a little bit into the examples that people can really paint a better picture. What do you think?
Well, following up from Professor Salim's kind of point, I like the terminology of two sides to the same coin. And arguably, universities and higher education institutions exist to serve the community needs, whether industry or society. Now, if we think about universities as, the greenhouse for developing all of the things between talent, solutions, and innovation, we see, for example, in Sultan Qaboos University and its closeness to the IPM, the sort of Innovation Park Muscat, and the innovation programs in the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, being a hotbed for innovative entrepreneurial sort of organizations or businesses starting up and hooking themselves into direct research, laboratories, sort of 3D printing this or developing new materials and whatnot. There are other universities and colleges working with industry directly, for example, in Sohar, and developing, again, the 3D printing, the modeling and whatnot, and prototyping centers. These industries hook onto whatever resources available from academia, from the students being either researchers or appliers to some of those technologies they wish to either test and develop. There are other examples where universities have started to become sort of the starting point for many of the entrepreneurial activity that we later see enter into industry and provide solutions as well.
Have they gone far enough to the regional international markets, or they're within the national market?
Currently, we're still in the nascent stage of these kind of developments. While some have made it through investments into the regional market, whether it's into neighboring countries, but still many are developing and testing in the local market. Now, this is not a result of simply just experimentation. There are many programs that either come from the industry into academia and starts to offer collaborations built around pipeline developments, where we find students in those organizations that are good potential for programs. Specifically, we've seen programs come from NGOs that work, for example, like Injaz Oman, for example, that has tapped into higher education for a pool of students who compete on entrepreneurial activities. Now, those have made inroads to other organizations within sort of the industrial base, either finding interesting solutions they may wish to develop further, or there will be investments coming through to those. Now, those ideas would not have come to light without these type of competitions that bring the talent out and visible to society, and becomes sort of a selection ground, if you like, for then going into incubators, either run by specialized government organizations like the SME Development Authority, or by industry and other organizations that look for those kind of solutions to fit in as well.
Yeah, so Engineer Essam, do you see an opportunity there? Are you utilizing these opportunities where these educational institutions are giving you talents, innovations, problem solving? What angle do you see coming most out of this, and are you utilizing these opportunities?
Just continuing to what His Highness had mentioned about the collaboration between academia through this competition, through these challenges. And I think we have a good example where we, last year, we have done a number of hackathons. These hackathons, nothing but challenges that these businesses, all the businesses that we have in the private sector, and then we share these challenges to institute, academia, or even students where they come up with the solutions. We have seen a very talented solution coming up in the surface, people who have dig down very detailed research, of course with the help of their academic staff, and they come up with a solution. Now we see this solution going up to the market as they do the due diligence, how exactly to register these companies, to register these solutions, and you'd be surprised that we have very innovative solutions, either touching us one of the challenges area, or sometimes very profitable businesses where they will give you challenges, they come up with different themes. And these are touching up the normal challenges or the new challenges that business has, like digitalization, AI, and a lot of areas that newly develops, that these students have seen the light, or they see I could help the private sector by producing or developing new ideas that can help the market.
And have these solutions being implemented? I mean, have you seen an outcome out of this?
Perfectly. We have out of this hackathon, we have 4 companies now we are incubating out of them. One of them is underwater marine inspection, which is mainly sort of what the challenges that we have, how we do that. And now there are other companies. We're also doing AI with accounting. We're making it easy. There are companies also, we are trying to reduce the loss on the food that we transport through our cold chain. There are companies have come up with a new idea that the food will be not wasted through an organic ideas that we can apply on the food and then will be saved. There is a lot of idea that all this coming from the students. These have going to the next level where be incubated, developed further, and then maybe we start locally, but these people, so this company will go international.
Excellent. So, Professor Salim, these are very good example, and His Highness indicated that we're at the beginning of our journey in this direction. If we want to look at forward-looking now and building on these examples, how do you see universities and colleges in Oman playing a pivotal role in accelerating this? Now, we are talking about incubating this, but can we move from incubators to accelerators, with education institution being the catalyst for this?
Definitely, yes. Let me just focus about how we come up with solutions. Normally, solutions can be really, it's a pull and push. The solutions can be based on challenges which are coming from the industry, or really solutions pushed by academia or students or instructors from academic institutions where they have identified or noticed there is a challenge. Sometimes, not necessarily these to be solutions. They can be just something new, not based on a challenge. So that is very, very important. How do the academic institution really handling these so that the industry can see the benefits? It's take really stages. It starts from providing practical solutions, testing them, and really go to a prototype, then scaling it up, So it's a journey. Every journey has its own details. However, sometimes even you don't have to take the path of, for example, patenting or protecting those solutions. You will just go and implement it and test it and see if it works or not. So academic institution really needs to be on the same page as the industry, so that at the end of the day, industries, they want a solution, they want something practical, cost-effective, and economic. So what is needed from the academic institution side is just linking themselves and providing really short-term solutions and putting the agenda of really linking themselves with the industry. In that way, gradually, they can communicate, they can agree, but the most important thing when it comes into talking about solutions is the design of the problem and how the solution will be reached and provided. Designing is very, very important.
I'm going to pick a point there on that, the aspect that it can be a new problem that is not necessarily based on industry challenge. Your Highness, in the consultancy firm, there are two approaches. One is a customer-focused approach, where the customer says, this is my problem, please help me to solve it. And the other approach is actually called customer intimacy approach, where the customer doesn't know the problem and you walk in there to highlight that as an opportunity for both sides, the consultancy and also the customer, to get best value of this. How do we marry those two now? Being in a consultancy firm, there's a private sector who wants to know more about the problem, and there's an academic institution which can solve a problem with you, potentially without customer knowing, and then putting that as a nice cake on the table of a customer. How do you see that?
I think there's always a challenge, and one should be very careful when we speak about consulting, that consultants are always seen as problem solvers, while universities tend to follow the two paths that we've just heard about, either problem solving or innovating and doing the research development, not necessarily for the sake of additional research, but with a purpose. Now, the danger is always to come in and assume you can identify problem areas and be able to. It always, when we come to solution or problem solving, it has to come from the source. Someone has to identify it, but you cannot, as an academic or a consultant, walk in and define a problem, because that's something you might just be framing a problem that isn't there or isn't causing an issue. But from my personal experience, what I found was that as you transit from sort of the methodology of doing research or identifying problems or their solutions to consulting, there is a gap that needs to be identified, that you don't go prescribing. You need to listen to those clients. You need to understand what they need. And often more than none, it is advisory that they require and not a sort of completely greenfield solution, if I may call it so. How do you identify those depends on what kind of training you've had prior to. So most of the time, businesses would go to consultants or universities or academics to prescribe. I have a problem, I might not have defined it very well. This is where your role is, or the institution role is, to come and say, listen, we've looked at this. There is this particular issue, there's this particular challenge. However, we can see improvements if you would do X, Y, Z. So let's take lean as a good example. There are people who have studied it, and when it comes to application, you need to be hands-on and identify, I'm digitizing a process, but I haven't changed a single step in the process, right? More likely than not, an academic will be able to pick up those problems. A consultant might have a ready off-the-shelf solution sometimes and just pass it on, use system 1 or system 2. So those kind of sensibilities are not, I'm not saying consultants need to be academics and academics need to be consultants, as much as there is a methodology. It should be very clear. It should be very well understood. And without that, now, let me take an example we've had here in Oman of geotech and 3D printing, building 3D printing, along with companies like Inotech, which is a startup, Omani startup that had started to make inroads into this area. And they've been working together with other entities as well to, if I may use the word loosely, pioneer the process of building using these large 3D printing. There are other companies obviously involved in Oman as well, but a project like that wasn't waiting for someone in industry to say, listen, I want to build a 3D building, printed building, and I don't have a solution.
They just demonstrated.
This is demonstration, this is piloting and experimenting with the idea. This is what academic institutions with the right mindset can do. Experiment because you can afford to fail.
Right.
We've had previous experiences more than a decade ago with greenhouses, not greenhouses for environmentally friendly houses, a competition in Oman run, I think, by the TRC at the time, the Research Council, before it became, obviously, Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. And the idea was to have all of these higher education institutions compete to develop environmentally friendly houses. And interestingly, it wasn't the biggest universities that won. It was innovation happening where people felt the need to develop solutions. Later on, we might see those come into our building codes, it might develop. That would not happen in industry because there is a revenue-driven story, there's a profit-driven story, there are margins as well.
Right.
I want to add something there. Sometimes consultancy firms, they can be the interface layer between the industry and the academia. So they always help the industry to understand the language of the academia, even to identify who should be there in the academic institution to help them and to solve the problem. So I always see the consultancy in that way as a person from the academic institution, that consultants can help in different ways because they're always trying to link industry and academia in case if they want to go deeper and to more I would say practical oriented solutions. So a consultant can be there really as a catalyst, trying to help and facilitate, at least to understand the problems from both sides.
So this model actually is an exciting model, and it's there in the Eastern and Western hemisphere, and we're in the middle. And are we adopting this model of cross-posting? So you cross-post an academic professional into the industry for 2 or 3 years to understand industrial problems, but equally you cross-post a specialist who is not necessarily academic, but an engineer or a professional from the industry into the academic world to understand how the academic works and how can it help in terms of solving problems, laboratories, equipment. Are we expediting that in our countries? And are we do we have this model in Oman in different academic institutions?
It's not there yet, but it should be there. I don't see that one can say we can exclude one part, because sometimes you can see the gap clearly between the industry and the academia. And consultancy firms, they do help in bringing or minimizing that gap, because those are people who they have gone through a lot of consultancies, a lot of requests from the industry. They can always come up and pinpoint individuals, even laboratories, even techniques, even suggest the way where the industry can really proceed.
So with this gathering, I mean, you wanted to come in.
Yeah.
Would you welcome to go to, for instance, their university, and you welcome him to come to your place for 2 years? How do you feel like that?
Well, it's two different climate environment where one we need to adapt to another. They are strict to systems and procedures, while we are improvised. We demanded by day KPIs and deliverables that we have to deliver. Coming back to that point, I think we have adopted a new methodology for the businesses, which is mainly supported or implemented by OIA, Oman Investment Authority. What we call it the business technology mapping. So we run the business, and then we see what's available in the technology, and then we map it together, how it links with the business. And out of that, we generate challenges, mainly with exactly what we're talking about, and then we say how the academia can help these challenges. But out of that, there will be opportunities. These challenges and opportunities go to a ranking. Which one should go first? Because definitely all our businesses will come up with a list or a wish list with a lot of things that they want to do, particularly looking into the market, what's the new technologies there. But again, if they don't go for a proper ranking, which one have to go first? It's a must, or it's a better, or a proper ranking that how it's these ideas or challenges impact the business. because sometimes some of them, they don't impact the business, or don't added value, but it's good to have, but it's not must to have. Once they have this ranking, you apply these systems, or you apply solution to these challenges, and you follow these opportunities, you generate a very good pipeline of opportunities that you want to go to the market. At that times where you go with. The business is actually looking not for the R&D, we're looking for the innovative part which is coming out of that. And that comes later stage after the research and development. And we want that innovative idea, innovative solution that puts the companies into competitive advantage.
So what is that ranking criteria? How do you rank them?
We have, depends on the businesses. It's related to how it impact the business in terms of funding, how it impact the business into applicability, for example, it's applicable or not, how it's impact all the business in terms of revenue, will it help the business even from branding or reputation parts. All this goes into that kind of ranking criteria. We come up with a number. That number says these projects should go first. Let's explore with academia who can do this, that we yield an innovative solution for this.
So these events are very, very powerful actually. Do you involve the educational professionals or academic professionals in these mapping exercises and ranking exercises, or not yet, but it's an opportunity for collaboration?
We do that practice internally. Of course, that's business technology mapping done by academic people who help us to develop it first. So that at least we come up with the top 3, then we give it to academia, they come up, then we give them, ask them, can we generate a solution out of this? Can we become innovative out of this? And they are that time, their part will come out of it. Because they want a clear scope what exactly we have. Our business is there. They want a clear scope what they can deliver. These are mainly scoping, analyzing, and then delivering.
Dr. Mohamed, allow me to sort of come in and again, I like to flip the story a little bit. We're talking about a lot of problem solving. It isn't always problem solving, and I think Professor Salim alluded to that. Some of the bridges that we have between academia and industry include simply not cross-posting necessarily, but exchange of knowledge. So in our field, in economics and business, for example, we often engage with sort of industry professionals at various levels, whether they're in accounting, finance, or logistics or whatnot, to come and just share their ideas, give us insights to our students to kind of bridge, to kind of meet the expectations, because students are not exposed to industry except with internships or placement programs in some universities in Oman. Stretches from 2 months to a whole year, depending on the program, sometimes even overseas. So what we do is we pollinate sort of the journey here, so to kind of to eventually get to sort of broader perspective. So these kind of channels, we have advisory committees in departments, not just at the college level, but departments, industry specific. So let's say accounting, for example, we would have, chartered accountants. Some of them are in the big consulting firms, some of them are in industry. And that mix kind of exposes those industries to our curricula to understand what our students are doing. Student activities nowadays are more involved with industry rather than with academic sort of curricular. So these are the extracurricular activities. While we don't have cross-posting necessarily built into our system, we have a lot of adjunct professors, as we like to call them, or visiting professors. They're not professors by name, but they come from industry and wish to come in for a semester or 2, get exposed to what we do, understand a little bit of that. And these are not the retired ones anymore, as we used to see in the past. We have younger people looking to give back, and they think that they could share. In areas we've had country negotiators for free trade agreements, for example, are teaching at university today and sharing those experiences. Industries have set up research chairs, whether from out of Oman, let's say at the WTO level, for example, or locally at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, where research connects to the capacity that the academic institution can provide, but also serving industry needs, or on the broader macro level or on the micro level. So these exist, platforms like ASYAD, for example, and perhaps Professor Salim or Essam could talk a little bit more about that, but those are the platforms that expose and bring industry and sort of solution providers or innovation providers, if you will. So we have those links. The question is, how do we activate them? How do we make them visible? That we're telling industry, wherever you are, whether you're in Duqm, whether in other parts of Oman, how might you tap into that potential without going through the effort of setting up your own centers. For example, other organizations in Oman have academies or centers of excellence that look to develop their own needs. Now, those can be difficult to set up because you need the right human resources, the financial resources. But how about if we have those centers of excellence in universities providing more than one geographical area, such as Duqm, right, and its needs, as well as other places, and they would be the link and the cross-pollination between what work is happening in this industry and cross-collaborations that we hope to see.
Very practical and very pragmatic, actually. So, Professor Salim, CSUD and the likes of CSUD, they will be really eager to attract investors, people who invest in the current situation, but also in the future opportunities. How do you see the academic sector capitalizing on what has just been mentioned by His Highness now, centers of excellence? Can these academic institutions establish, even online, it doesn't have to be physical, even online centers of excellence where they facilitate some sort of a forum to do problem solving, to do hackathon, to do the insights of things which are not yet known? Do you see that's an active area of development by which even FDIs can be attracted to say, this is a good place for me to come in because I have these facilities to solve my problem in my investments in Oman?
Well, having those units in any academic institution is a must. It's not an option anymore. If you want really, as an academic institution, to link yourself into the industry and providing solutions, you need those units. You need those really parties to link yourself to the industry. They do exist in different ways. We do have a center of excellence where people will go there with a certain well-defined problem and discuss about what will be the way forward and solutions. We do have assistant deans of training and community service. They play that role. We do have individuals at universities where they are keen to go and explore what are the existing challenges in the industry. We do have research groups. As a group, all of them will be focused in certain area and trying to tackle certain challenges. We do have centers of innovation and technology transfer. Those ones will be there and trying to provide also solutions. One of the most important things, Dr. Mohammed, sometimes challenges coming from the industry are at different levels. Some of them are very simple and straightforward. So undergrads and other people, expertise can provide solutions, within a short time. And other challenges are very complex and they need time, and that will go as a research project or as a chair for 3 years up to 5 years. So it depends on the nature and the level of those challenges. I think understanding the industry and trying to speak the same language is very, very important. The industry wants something quick. They want to see practical solutions. They want to test them. And the academia should adjust themselves into these, type of expectations from the industry. Something which would take, let's say, 2-3 months in the academia. Sometimes, if you are not carefully or if it's not well designed, it might take even to 1 or 2 years. So that is important. Time is very important because time is money. So what we are trying to do is just making sure that we understand the problem from the beginning, what are the expectations from the industry, and what will be delivered to the industry. It's not necessarily 100% as a full solution. Sometimes it's just incremental improvement, and that can be tested, and there'll be feedback from the industry and developed further. So the relationship between academia and industry should be long-term rather than short-term. Sometimes you can start the first phase of the project and deliver some benefits, then you continue after that, after testing, and see if this was really a very good investment from the industry. So it's a journey. It needs really collaboration, continuous communication, and agreement on making sure that the key performance indicators, what should be the outcome and the results which are expected from the industries.
Yeah. So Engineer Essam, I think I would like to pick that point of a challenge of time, where the industry is developing very fast and also is applying their solutions faster than expected now, especially with AI, ML advancements. Do we have this alignment on the speed of delivery between the academic and industry relationship? Is the academic delivery solution fast enough to the industry?
So I would like to link to the Center of Excellence ideas that the professors have been throwing in the table here, and link it to a real industry requirement, and see what exactly there is available platform which is act as a virtual center, which is ASYAD. ASYAD today have 35 members, generated more than 100 plus challenges and opportunity. They have resolved or under pipeline they're working on to 60 plus projects, and they have generated 2.5 million out of fundings. How exactly the platform works? Mainly, all industries come with challenges or opportunities that they will foresee a need academic help. And then every university will throw in a solution in that platform, and then we go evaluation. And I'll give an example, where we thought a challenge for us, how we can reduce our CO2 emission on board of ship. That's different than board of ships, how we can capture the CO2. So we put this idea into the market. It's not a challenge, but opportunity. We're going to green. We put it into the market. We received 8 proposal from university. We gone through evaluation, proper evaluation like we do for a tendering, or even evaluation for any bidder who comes to the market. And the key criteria is the solution doable, the timeline, and also looking into the end, is the cost fitting to the budget allocated for this. That kind of give a challenge for university to become innovative in their way we're doing, solutions oriented, not R&D oriented. And then they will go to further details on how we can help this industry in solving the solution the way they fit in their requirement and criteria. And there is many of them. These 60 projects I told you in the ASYAD, this is all have gone through the similar process where they have to deliver an innovative solution at the end, which is the industry would love through that platform.
And also we have ASYAD, right? ASYAD is where it develops, ASYAD develops the institutional capabilities, and the ASYAD probably develop the individual capabilities, right? So is that also another enhancement of collaboration that needs to scale up?
But that depends on which criteria, because the skills that we want there, it's like a moving average. You don't have a skills that fit, you prepare them today, by the time they're ready for the market, the skills already change. So you need to speed up the market. And everyone said, I want to prepare my own set of skills. And that becoming like a challenge for not only one institution, but for all institutions. And that becoming a different dilemma. But we're looking into the challenges or the solution that the academy can help. That's one set, and then the skills, it's another challenge or another set that also need to be elaborated more, understood more. And it could be ASYAD is the final ultimate solution can help on both sides.
So Your Highness, what other collaboration opportunities we have to improve this education industry development in future for better investment attraction?
Well, let's be clear that investors, when they look to set up in any country, they look at several factors besides the financials. Talent is critically important. The ability to conduct R&D within the country or the boundary that they are investing or jurisdiction is critically important. And obviously, the know-how that they wish to either bring in and protect, so the protection of IP and whatnot. Now in Oman, on the third point, we've developed, the legal systems, regulations to protect IP. In universities and colleges, we're developing better systems for technology transfer and development, commercialization. We're still making inroads into that. But perhaps the most critical and something that we need to also focus on is talent development. And this is what many universities are working with. And in some cases, there's always going to be challenge how to keep up with market demands. Now, we should be mindful that the time horizons for industry and curriculums in academia is slightly different in terms of the need for this talent to come in and onboarding and whatnot. But universities are not simply about four-year degrees. Universities are about continuous learning. Executive education, postgraduate programs, and specifically designed programs that could be catering for specific industries. Now, this is where the opportunities are, where we talk to foreign direct investment and say, listen, Oman has a talent, not simply as a four-year degree graduate of engineering or logistics or whatnot, but this development can carry on and we can provide solutions that would fit your industry. Now, this is where industry and academia and in higher education institutions need to be continuously talking through these advisory committees, through the internship programs and training programs that are constantly offered, through graduate programs that we see the proliferation in many industries, whether it's in banking, oil and gas, or any others, provide sort of a microscope view on these skills that they're learning and gives us feedback on how we can develop better skills. So it isn't just simply about, the prototyping alone or, the pool of talent alone or the systems that protect whatever IP you generate or bring with you as a foreign direct investor. It's all of them put together and they're available anywhere you want them in Oman, whether it's here today in Duqm or elsewhere in Oman, and you're able to tap into that. This is part of the softer infrastructure that is absolutely necessary. And I believe higher education institutions are a key role in that development part.
Professor Salim, there are recruiters today who are putting in their interviewing question how many AI ML applications you have downloaded in your mobile. And His Highness just mentioned that there is a potential opportunity for academic industry education collaboration on executive training. Is the university considering programs for training executives on AI ML, not just asking the new recruits, but also the mature leaders to be trained as an executive for the future?
Well, yes. Let me just go back to one of the important aspects about intellectual property policy, which was mentioned by His Highness. This is very, very important. Academic institutions should have that policy. And if you look to any intellectual property policy, has two important components: ownership and royalties. If any individual file a patent, for example, the question would be who owns this patent? And so the industry and academic institutions should be flexible enough in that issue to decide who will own that patent or that solution. Is very, very important. Simply, it can be core ownership. Both of them can own the patent and benefit from that, or it can be even negotiated. The university can keep the ownership of the patent, or the industry can take everything. The second aspect in IP policy is royalties. Okay. For example, at Sultan Qaboos University at the moment, the university will take 70% of the net revenue of any filed patents or licensed solutions. However, it can be negotiated. If you file a patent, even 100% can be yours as an academician. And even if you resign or if you go to a different institution.
Why should executives know that?
It's very, very important because some institutions are not there to make money, are there really to attract talents and best professors, best engineers to their institutions rather than taking money. So if you're not paying enough salaries, for example, or your payment is not competitive to some countries or to some universities, then that's a hook. You hook them, telling them if you file a patent, the ownership can be yours and the even the royalties 100% you can take all of it. and the university will take something simple if you have used university facilities and so on. So what I want to say, the message here is that flexibility in the agreement of the requirement of the IP policy is very, very important.
What about the AI ML advancement and dynamics right now? Will university play a key role in training the executives in the industry?
Well, that's a must. We can't run away from that. At the moment, for example, at Sultan Qaboos University, we have started, within 1 year, we need to train 1,200 PhD and master degree holders in using AI in education and research.
But the executives are in the industry.
Yeah, the executive is coming. It's not there yet. We do have Center of Community Service and Continuous Learning where they offer this type of training, but we are really planning in College of Economics and Political Sciences to have this type of programs. Not necessarily in AI, but we have a lot of demands from the industry for this type of
So that's a very good
programs.
Area of collaboration, right? Because we were exploring
exactly.
these areas, and I think that, that element of executive training will be a very good one for continuous improvement.
A very good example is Harvard Business School, for example. They have these executive programs, globally well recognized, and people all over the world, they really participate in these type of programs. So these type of programs are very, very important, especially engaging decision makers in the industry.
Your Highness, you mentioned more than once that it's not only problem solving that should be the driver here. We have to look into insights and other things as drivers of collaboration. What would you say for drivers to the industry to come back to this industry academic collaboration, which are not necessarily solving their problem? What would it be?
I think naturally, when you ask that question, what comes to mind is the Harvard Business Review, for example. It's a very powerful tool to translate what academia does, whether it's at Harvard or any other higher education institutes, well reputable with good research, and translate much of that to what industry really needs. Obviously, the focus there is more managerial and managing human resources and on so many different areas. Now, those are very practical tools that don't necessarily come up with a solution, but identify trends that are changing, for example. You've mentioned AI, but let's not get stuck on AI alone. Think of any other trends that are changing today and how those trends are affecting business management, how those trends are affecting decision makers. For example, gender composition at boards, executives who are from one generation or another, or practices that are evolving. Those present insights that industry is not aware of because they don't talk to each other, for example. They're not aware, for example, foreign direct investment is driven more by these type of settings that are available for you. It's not just the infrastructure, it's not just the legislation, but the type of businesses that you have that may very well work well together. So this is not academic analysis being put out there in table form and periodicals, but really readable articles that go deeper than the usual, discussion about study X or study Y. Those kind of linkages are the ones that make meaningful relationships. And I go back to Professor Salim's point. This is a long-term relationship. This is not one that develops on a single project. Understanding industry needs and understanding academia needs helps both parties kind of set a clear path. So if in Duqm's requirements today in the special economic zones are of specific needs, not solutions that are required, simply this is what we see ourselves doing. Different academic institutions could feed into that story and start to identify not necessarily business opportunities, but paths. In economic analysis, what are the global trends that are affecting you that you're not aware of? You're looking at some of the investment aspects. So there's a plethora of ideas that could come through, this cross-pollination of ideas and coming up with working groups that could eventually set a clear path or assess what is ongoing. And I think those kind of conversations, ongoing conversations, are very, very important.
Great. So, Engineer Essam, you wanted to chip in there.
Yeah, built on His Highness's comment here where he said, all this elements goes into our knowledge management. We have, I think, most of the OIA company now, they have this knowledge management box where they feed into, one of them is a market intelligence, where we say, is it a good decision or not? And then a number of studies or research that we have developed or studied throughout the years, because these are knowledge that built throughout many experiences that these organizations have gone through, and then they created this knowledge management box where we were utilizing the AI mainly to find for the new generation. The idea behind this was to build a learning organization. If you haven't learned from the mistakes or the challenges or the other people's mistakes have gone through the past, you are not learning organization. So the knowledge management is a key element built into the new companies where we're coming to the challenge, feed into AI, feed in through market intelligence, all this build that know-how capability. And then with this new intake or the new generation comes, their knowledge will still remain at the business. Even if you lose the key people or the retired people, the new generation comes, the knowledge management will be captive in that organization through AI, through a number of research I've gone through. And this will be an important element, important tool that you cannot generate that knowledge management except connecting all these dots all together, put them in the box. Either use AI or other platforms, but again, they need to create this learning organization that help the company to grow.
So that, yeah, go ahead, please.
Dr. Mohammed, there is something which we didn't talk about too much, but very, very essential and very important. You know, we have talked maybe many times about AI, and that is very important. But no AI model will function without big data and data analytics. So here is very, very important. Acquiring information, gathering data, this is very, very essential. I would really encourage every industry to think about the emerging technologies which are based on IT, cybersecurity, AI, big data, cloud computing, and blockchain. These are very, very essential technologies which can solve most of the problems. We can't really talk too much about AI without data. Data are the input of any AI model. We can't really, the AI will not be functioning properly without cybersecurity. So all of these emerging technologies are connected and they need to be adapted together. Everyone is talking about AI, but AI eventually will be used as just a tool. And I can see that serving up to 40% of your time, your money you spend in running your institution or your industry just by using these emerging technologies. But the point here is the following. We shouldn't really exclude those human beings who will be looking after this, all of these technologies. It doesn't mean that these technologies will be replacing, exactly, individuals, or there'll be some job which will be lost. The other point I want to make is the relationship between academia and the industry really should go and discuss something which is emerging, black swans, emerging, risk. I'll give you an example. Just last month, everyone is talking about new tariffs, for example. Why this will be affecting all of us, academic institution and even the industries. So we can just discuss and listen to people what will be the impact of these tariffs, for example. This is very, very important.
Agreed. Yeah, so from this collaboration angle with the data-driven organization, the DDOs, and big data, is the industry looking at that as an opportunity for collaboration so that the academic can be the analyzers, can be the data collectors, they probably can use technology of, the cloud technologies and cloud services. What do you think?
I think it's very important to collaboration through across sectional, all the areas. And we give an example which is happening in Oman. It's emerging developments happening up with the hydrogen, the green hydrogen, and how that touches many sectors, either academia, production, logistics, even storage and warehousing. That's complete new challenge or new opportunity that comes to Oman, and then they require collaboration throughout different sectors, different lines. But we need to have that kind of details analysis, how we can leverage disadvantaged ideas, and then everyone make a good win, a good profit out of it, and then drive the best technologies in Oman. And that's a way of collaboration. There is many of them as a green hydrogen, but this is valuable, seen, and Oman is blessed with abundant natural resources, can deliver this at a lower cost with high profitability.
As we wrap up our podcast, can we get your final thoughts on industry education collaboration?
Right. If you allow me to start or end, basically, I think industry and academia need to continue to build those bridges and maintain them with dialogue and conversation continuously.
I think industry should put, and academia also, on the top of the agenda, the type of collaboration, especially in their plans and strategies.
I think the collaboration is there, but need more enhancement, more support. ASYAD is the one platform, but again, we need to have more that can help and develop further.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your insights and thoughts.
Thank you. Thanks.
We hope you have enjoyed the discussion. Don't forget to subscribe and follow Duqm Now wherever you get your podcast. I'm Mohamed Al Mughairi. Thank you for listening.